Is why I talk about the things that I do. Our kids are being broken down from the inside out. Hello, welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for the support. On my channel, I like to give my opinion and perspective on things that are happening today, things that I think actually matter to everyday people, especially those of us trying to raise kids in the insanity known as today's society. I do like to talk about current events and politics, and my perspective does tend to be more on the conservative side of things. Please like this video, leave a comment below, and also share it with others. Also, be sure you are subscribed to my channel and help me to grow this channel so that I can hopefully reach more people that value logic, reason, and sanity. Also, be sure to find me on Rumble under Outspoken Samantha in the event that YouTube decides I have violated their community standards and chooses to kick me off their platform forever. That being said, let's get into today's topic. So first I want to say welcome to all of my new subscribers. I really appreciate your support on this channel, as it is a fairly new channel and I am working to grow it as much as I can and just hopefully have a platform to share what I think a lot of us are thinking a lot of times, and just trying to break down just some of the issues going around society and kind of the thought processes behind those. As you may have noticed, I talk a lot about the things going on in public schools, particularly when it comes to gender ideology being pushed in our classrooms. And the reason, it's not that I don't want to talk about other issues, it's not that I don't think that other things are important, but the reason that I think this is such an important issue, and probably the most important issue that we need to be concerned with today, is because these kids are our future. And I don't mean just like future engineers or lawyers or doctors or entrepreneurs or teachers or, that kind of future. I mean, our kids now are how we are going to turn things around in society, turn things around in this country. Right now, as we've noticed, we have a lot of bickering going on in Washington, D.C. over who's going to be the next Speaker of the House and what are all these committees going to look like and what they're going to do in the next couple of years. And I'm not minimizing the importance of that. I get that it matters, and it does matter to me. But for me personally, and I hope that to you as well, if we don't start addressing and really taking back our schools and address what kids are being taught and how they are being shaped and molded by teachers and, the people around them, even their parents at this point, it's not going to matter who's in charge of policy. Democrat, Republican, conservative, far right, far left, none of that is going to matter. Because if we allow the path of what our kids are learning now to continue and how they're being influenced at such a young age, the far left lunatics that really are, a minority, a loud minority, but a minority right now, they represent kind of what is going to happen on a larger scale in the future. The screaming and the protesting and the crying over little things like being misgendered.
People are yelling at me because I don't have their orders ready. They don't know what to do. And a customer was misgendering me today, really badly. I didn't have their order ready. And so they were just talking to each other, and they're like, she's clearly incompetent. I have a full mustache and beard.
These grown adults that are just completely incapable of accomplishing anything because they want to be paid, awarded, and praised for coming up with things like the newest gender identity or the most far-fetched pronouns, and who don't know how to question anything that they've been told and actually crumble at the idea of being questioned. They'll go from being that loud minority to the controlled majority. Many of you have said in the comments, and you recognize that this slow drip that's been happening into our public schools has been going on for decades. And when you have a country like America that's unlike any other country in the world, and unlike any other country that's ever existed, that protects human rights right from the moment of conception, at least we should, and puts the voice of the people over the government and truly provides unlimited opportunity to anybody, no matter what you look like, no matter what you believe, to achieve your highest potential as a human being, and fosters a belief system of being unstoppable from the moment of birth. That kind of belief system, that kind of philosophy as a country is really difficult to break, especially when children are raised to believe that from a young age, as they should be. But there is this indisputable impact on you as a person when you grow up in a country that doesn't write laws to hold you back versus children who are born into environments where they have been taught from an early age that they are living in a restrictive country, in a restrictive environment, and that their future is going to be governed by the laws around them. It's like when you raise an animal in a cage versus free to thrive in their natural habitat. There's very distinct differences. So in order to break that philosophical outlook in people, because it's what gives people the motivation to fight for their rights and to completely change the mindset of the majority of a country with 325 million people, it's impossible to change that by force. You can't do it by sending in the military. And I mean, you could, but it would be extremely messy and the results are far more unpredictable. Or you can't, just go in and change laws at the snap of a finger where one day you have uninhibited rights as a human being and the next day you don't. In order to break a country that is as strong as the United States, you have to change the culture. You have to change how people perceive opportunity and what they can do. And you have to do it from a young age. And we can see the results of what that slow drip into our public schools over decades and decades has done. We have teenagers and young adults who truly do hate America. Who truly see opportunity and liberty as selfish and greedy. And not only that, they're bringing what they've been persuaded to believe to the next generation of children, so that this belief system starts even earlier now, and it's meant to impact an even larger group of people. It's not just middle school, high school, and college now. Children are being influenced in this way, starting in preschool and kindergarten, by the same teachers that have emerged from their years in school, hearing how selfish liberty is and how much freedom has oppressed people. And now they are our next generation's teachers and influencers. So, and not only that, they have a much further reach than even their teachers and influencers did, and officials did, because it's relentless. They have dozens of apps that kids have access to now. It's in their books, their movies, their cartoons, classrooms, doctors' offices, therapists, school counselors, social media. It's everywhere. And the people, the grown adults that are influencing now, like I said, are the ones that came out of this, the public schools that have had this influence in them for decades. And now we're seeing the result of that and how, that really has the potential to affect to just change the complete belief system of our country. And it's not even just about a disdain for America, because fostering a dislike for your environment is only half the battle. You've got to foster a dislike for yourself. And the reason I say that is the human spirit is incredibly powerful. Even when you're raised in a restrictive environment, you can still be someone who understands that those restrictions are a violation of your rights as a human being. And it pushes you to want more, to fight for more, to want to achieve more, and to break away from those restrictions. And so when you want to break a country like America and change the culture, as I've said, you've got to foster this dislike for the country, but also you've got to break people down from the inside out. And that's exactly what is happening in schools with our kids. And that sounds extremely dramatic. It sounds, just very inflammatory. And I don't mean it that way at all. I wish that this was not what we were facing right now, but we have got to face realities. And this is why I talk about the things that I do. Our kids are being broken down from the inside out. Kids thrive on learning. They thrive from being challenged, from learning, from achieving, from growing, from exploring their talents and interests, which is why so much of an actual education in schools has been removed from the classroom. We have some of the lowest academic standards, some of the lowest academic success, some of the lowest reading and writing and mathematical understanding rates in the world. Our kids are not learning anything because, again, if you do keep fueling kids' aspirations and talents, that's antithetical to breaking the spirit of the country. So this brings me again why I talk about so much what's happening in schools, because it really does matter what the next generation looks like. Kids hear constantly how they're oppressed or their oppressors simply based on their skin color. If that doesn't work, they get to hear how they have to change their name, their body identity in order to feel better or to be better. And if that isn't enough, they've got to be inundated with degrading, sexually explicit materials that leads them to see themselves and their peers as nothing but objects. It removes that level of humanity. And if that's not enough, they get to hear about how the relationship that most of their parents have is a social construct, that their parents aren't safe, that their home isn't safe, and that the relationship that they have built with their parents of trust is a lie. Not to mention that the world is going to end if they use a straw in their juice box at lunch, or if they don't start living in the dark and using less power because we're going to kill the planet, and never mind growing up to have your own family someday, because if you want to do that, that means you want the earth to die. So our kids are being bombarded with these negative messages about themselves, about everything that they're doing as a human being is negative, that they aren't enough the way that they were born, and it's insane. It's insane. Instead of spending time and energy honing skills and talents and the incredible sense of purpose that comes from working hard and figuring out how to deal with challenges and to overcome your trials, our kids are obsessing over their gender, their skin color, their pronouns, and how many ways that they're a victim, and being fed message after message that as human beings, we're irreparably evil. And we just need to stop trying. And we can't do it all. We can't do anything. And we just need to live off social programs and the government. We need to allow somebody else to fix our problems and take care of us because we're just so completely incapable of doing it ourselves. You can try and dispute the things that I'm saying and what kids are learning, but again, look at the people that are influencing our kids right now. Young adults who have been through the public education system and who are now the teachers of our children. And look at the messages that they are perpetuating in the classroom. Does it match up to everything that I have just said? Do we see countless examples of this happening over and over and over again? When we see just, endless videos of teachers, proud of what they're putting in the classrooms, and, kids that really just are so lost and confused about who they are, and they're miserable. And just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, this is a thought I've had for a while, and it is related to gender ideology. One of the, many things that are crippling kids, crippling society from the bottom up, starting with our kids. When I see these radical left young adults spewing ideology that makes absolutely no sense, it has no, biological, scientific, just factual basis whatsoever. It makes absolutely no sense. What can so easily be for people that can be so easily crippled just by using the wrong pronoun, I think to myself, all of the time and energy that they are spending, obsessing about this thing, about their gender, about their pronouns, about how the public perceives them. Do they look enough like the gender that they've selected? And just, really feeling devastated and, just really weighted down if they are, they're working so hard to create this image and this identity, and it's not working in society. All of the time and energy that they put into this, it's like all of that time and energy they could have been using to pursue a dream, or to pursue a fulfilling career, or raising a family, or volunteering in their community in some way. And it's all being consumed by this obsession with their identity and their sexuality and their gender confusion. When kids are being completely overwhelmed with this stuff from a young age, they become completely taken over by it. And that obsession it takes over their lives, where they don't even know how to focus on anything productive anymore. And this story popped up on Reddit the other day, actually yesterday, and it just, confirmed this thought. Sorry, I'm trying to get it to move over on my computer. This thought that I have had for a long time. So the story reads, the title says, "Think I'm going to socially detransition. I'm 19, female to male, I think. I've been going by he, him to my friends and my work, but I haven't come out to my family due to the fear because they are quite transphobic. To be honest, I'm not even sure if I am female to male or non-binary, and I've spent so long interrogating myself to the point where I can't even think about much else. It's taking precedence over other important things. I think I'm going to take a step back for now and focus on living my life and sorting other important things out. And given that I will likely have to move back home later this year for financial reasons, I don't need that stress. I may transition properly later on, but now I think just isn't the right time, and I think I need time to figure out who I am, not just my gender. Sorry for the long rant, but I'm guessing some of you guys have been through the same, so I just wanted to know if this is the right decision or not. And as you can see, it's something that has taken over their lives and that they're just obsessing about. And you can see this happening in so many other people, and not to mention, as I've said before, when kids are being taught that their parents and their homes aren't safe, they use the word transphobic. Like, what does that even mean? Have you talked to your parents about it? Have you brought this up to them? And as parents, we do need to do a better job of addressing these things with our kids, because this is what they are learning, and we need to know how to handle it with love and to guide them through it, and hopefully away from it, because there's so much confusion, and this confusion didn't need to be there. This person never needed to be this completely lost in who they are. This person recognizes that their entire life has been just flooded with confusion about who they are. They are completely lost, and I am so glad to see that they're seeing that and realizing that, and that this obsession has been extremely unfulfilling, and that they need to focus on other things. And honestly, I think, and I hope, once they take a step back and realize how destructive this obsession has been in their life, that they will see how much time and energy that they have to spend on other things, and that their value is so much more than their gender. It's absolutely wild, because those of us who haven't gotten caught up in gender ideology and this obsession, we can attest to the fact that we spend exactly 0 time in our day thinking about whether we're a man or a woman. It is something it never even crosses my mind. I just am who I am. And of course, the left would say, well, it's just because you're not transgender. You weren't born that way. It's because I was never taught to obsess about something. Kids will obsess about things if you tell them to obsess about it. They will think about things if you tell them that these are things that they need to think about. And when you think about everything that you get done in a single day, and then think about the fact that your list of accomplishments would be so considerably shorter if all of your energy and brain power was spent just thinking about your identity and how others perceive you, and whether or not, like I said, whether or not you are being perceived as this legitimate version of the other sex, whether or not you need hormones or surgery, or what the next thing is that you're going to need to accomplish that, whether or not this is the right path for you, what decisions you need to make. Are you sure? Are you not sure? Can you change your mind later? I mean, how exhausting is that? And how much time and energy is being taken away from other things? I also, this thing is just crippling our kids. I came across this video of a mom talking about what happened with her daughter from the time her daughter started high school to the nightmare that she's living today, all because of what her daughter was taught in school. It completely took over her life and destroyed her.
My name is Linda Mullins, and I live in Franconia. I would like to address some concerns within the district. The picture I have with me tonight is a picture of my daughter when she entered 9th grade here at Satterton. As a teacher myself for 12 years, I taught math, I taught science, all the necessary things that a child needs when they're in school. But more than that, I taught children to be strong and courageous, to be confident, to think for themselves. So I looked up some facts and research about how many times you have to repeat to someone something before they begin to believe it. And the facts tell us, and the research in science tells us, that for a child to believe something, you have to tell them 14 times before they start to believe it. For adults, it's only 7 times before they start to believe it. So my child entered 9th grade here at Satterton. She wanted to be a camp counselor at a Christian camp. It was her dream for 3 or 4 years. This was my daughter in 9th grade. By the end of the year, 3 of the teachers that she had in her classrooms were repeating things to her. She began cutting herself. She became depressed. By the end of the school year, she was also calling herself by a different name. This parent was not informed of these things. I came in for an open house for art, and I saw her name was something different. I am her parent, and as a parent, I should be informed of these things. This is a mental health issue that needed to be addressed. Throughout the years, we had many conversations, many discussions. So her second year, under the disguise of a fundraiser, one of the teachers
Sorry, Miss Molly, you have 15 seconds. I'm sorry.
who was encouraging her in these behaviors also took these children and had their heads shaved for a fundraiser so they'd look more like what they identified with. I just want to say that here I am today, and my child has now removed her breasts, is taking testosterone. This causes atrophy. It causes the muscles in her vagina to collapse to the point of incontinence. But these are not the facts that anyone shares with you.
I'm sorry.
And it only takes 14 times for a child to start believing this. I'm asking this board to be monitoring what your teachers are saying to these children. I am asking you that these parents do not have to suffer through this like I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this is just really sad because this kid knew exactly what she wanted to do. She was happy. She knew she wanted to be a camp counselor. But she, was influenced by this slow drip from activist teachers forcing questions on her that she would never have even obsessed about had they not forced those ideas on her. Because it wasn't important to her until somebody told her that it needed to be important to her. And suddenly obsessing about her gender became her identity. It became the entirety of who she is as a person. And this deep sense of dissatisfaction led her down a path that I guarantee she never would have gone down. She would have been an amazing camp counselor because kids at a young age, when they know that they want to work with other people, specifically children, and they want to influence the world for the good in that way, and they have that deep sense of self at such a young age, they grow up to be these amazing leaders and these amazing selfless contributors to society. And it's so sad that because we are losing so many incredible, strong future leaders because they're being inundated with this ideology that pushes them to focus on everything that they need to change about themselves in order to be happy. But that one change isn't enough. You have to keep going and going and going to the next pronoun, to the next drug, to the next surgery, striving to attain something that's so unclear and unreachable. And this is what I mean when I say we have got to address what is happening in schools, because like I said, these leftist lunatics that we see running around who crumble at the slightest challenge, who have no idea how to defend their ideas, no idea that everything they say is just completely contradictory to their actions, that just literally live in this absolute sense of delusion and chaos. It's not going to be the minority anymore. They represent what the entire future of our country looks like, and it is within our hands and our power to change that. And it starts in the home primarily. So do not be afraid to have these conversations with your kids, but it starts by being aware of what's happening in your school, showing up to the school board meetings, getting to know the teachers, knowing what your kids are being have access to on their phones and on social media, and being an involved parent and involved in everything that is going on around them. Because if you look if you look at the small minority of loud leftists and what they represent now, you do not see people who want to fight for liberty. You don't see people who see any value in themselves, because they're all victims. And if you take this group and put it everywhere, you end up with a country full of people who don't want to focus on anything else, who don't want to stand up against being controlled because they feel so completely powerless. You end up with a country full of weak people who want to be rescued and think that suffering is normal because they're not even worth saving. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. I know that was a lot, but I just wanted to kind of give you an idea about why I talk about the things that I talk about and why I think it's so important. I want to talk about a lot of different issues and sometimes just throw us some humor in there, because good night, we have so much going on in this country that is really it's really heavy and it weighs on us, and we need to lighten things up once in a while. So thank you so much for being here. Leave your comments below and your thoughts, like, share. Also be sure you're subscribed, turn on the notification bell so you know every time I post a video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.